Hi there, it's Bruce Wallace from Dundee and Victoria Chess Club in Bonnie, Scotland, bringing you the next in the series that I'm putting together on Why Did They Resign? Or Great Unplayed Combinations. And this is a famous position between Robert Byrne versus the late great Robert James Fischer, which was played in the USA Championship in New York in 1963. And the position arose from a Grunfeld defence, which was regarded as a fairly dull position by the commentators. Now, we all know Fischer, but what about the player with white here, Robert Byrne? Robert Byrne was born in 1928 and was a former college lecturer who gave up lecturing to become a full-time chess player, and he was the winner of the US Open Championship in 1960 and also the more prestigious Closed Championship in 1972, where he won a playoff with Reshevsky and Kavalek. He came third in the 1973 Leningrad Interzonal and actually became a candidate for the World Championship in the process, but lost his first match against Spassky. He also represented the USA in the 1952 Chess Olympiad. So, no weak player here, but this is a sparkling brilliancy from the young Fischer. So let's go straight to the game. In this position, Fischer played knight d3, queen c2, and now Fischer begins a combination by first of all removing the f2 pawn with knight takes f2. King takes, and now Fischer uses a fork tactic to win another pawn with knight g4 check. The king goes to g1, and now knight takes e3, which forks queen and rook, forcing the queen to move to d2. Now here, probably club players or players like myself would go for the materialistic knight takes rook, but after rook takes knight, white's right back in the game. Although black has two pawns and the exchange, in fact it's white who has the advantage here. After queen d2, Fischer goes for the much more imaginative move, knight takes bishop on g2, which, after king takes, weakens all the light squares around white's king. So we see these squares are completely open to attack. And now Fischer follows up with a clearance sacrifice with d4, and this really opens up the diagonals for these monstrous bishops. Just clear this. We'll breathe fire down these diagonals, these bishops. And Fischer was known as a legendary bishop player. Just a point here, if for example white were to try to grab more material with, black were to grab more material with bishop takes e2, knight takes e2, bishop takes a1, rook takes a1, again slightly in favour of white, or perhaps an even position, but Fischer is after more with the move d4. Knight takes d4, bishop b7 check. Now, white has choices here. What if the king goes to g1? There's no defence really. Bishop takes knight check, queen takes bishop, and now the old hook and ladder trick with rook e1 check. If king goes to f2, queen takes rook, rook takes queen, rook takes rook on a1, rook d7, rook c8, rook takes bishop, rook takes knight, rook b8 check, king g7, bishop b2, apparently skewering both rooks, but rook takes a2, and the bishop will go because it's pinned, and Fischer wins. So let's look at another line. What if king f2, queen d7, rook a to c1, queen h3, knight f3, bishop h6, skewering queen and rook, queen d3, bishop e3 check, and really the queen has to give itself up here. Queen takes bishop, rook takes queen, king takes rook, rook e8 check, king f2, queen f5, threatening to win the knight on f3, knight d5, bishop takes, rook takes, queen takes, with a huge advantage for black, just a winning position. The king's a sitting duck. So let's go back, bishop g7, we looked at the line with king f2, queen d7, if here knight c to e2, then queen d5 is very strong. Rook g1, rook takes e2 check, king takes e2, rook e8 check, king d1, bishop takes knight, forking both rooks, queen g2, queen d7, and a 16 pawn advantage for black here. In fact, white is finished. So after bishop b7 check, Byrne here played king f1 and Fischer played queen d7. And amazingly, just point out here that the complexity of the position was such that at this point, when Byrne resigned, grandmasters in the commentary room were casually informing the audience that white had a won position, but Byrne resigned. And why did he resign? After queen d7, Fischer was disappointed, and there are other potential moves in the position, but if he moves queen to f2, we have queen h3 check, king is forced to go to g1, and now the fantastic shot, rook e1 check. The queen can't take, obviously, because if queen takes, it's mate on g2. So after rook e1 check, the rook must take, and now bishop takes d4, and it's all over. Black wins white's queen. There's really nothing here to be done. So Byrne resigned. Now that game, after the move, king f1, queen d7, was over in 21 moves. The young Robert James Fischer defeating a candidate for the potential candidate for the World Championship. A sparkling brilliancy from Fischer, and my latest instalment of Why Did They Resign? See you soon on YouTube.